Hello, and thank you for calling. You've reached the human voicemail. Unfortunately, humanity is gone. Please leave a message after the tone. We appreciate your time, and we will not return your call. You will not be remembered.
Okay, so this is my first YouTube video. I was inspired by a guy named, let's see if we can focus this. There we go. Orange Bean Sir. This is like a inspired by him channel. And that might just be blurry, but I'm going to do it in one take. Now, I wrote some notes. Ah, yes, the notes. The notes. So, I guess I just want to say first, you should really stop being surprised, when you hear Pedro Pascal stuff, when you hear about, the good genes stuff, the Nazi stuff, you know, the Epstein stuff. We got to be like, stop being surprised by by how evil these people are, because we've had enough examples at this point that that's really cool. We've had enough examples that like we really shouldn't be surprised anymore. We're stressing ourselves out. There's not one Epstein pedo in jail. The people in our government knows who they are. They know what you ate. They know the last. We're actually going to switch this. 1 second. No, but if you've never seen this before, this is going to be cool for you. Nice. So we'll just talk while that goes. So yeah, not one Epstein pedo's in jail. And they know where they are. They know who they are. They know how many videos they have of them. And they know, like, most importantly, the FBI knows better than anyone, like, what the reoffense rate is for these pedos. And it's like almost 100%. So they know what's the consequences of letting these people free for 20, 30 years, whatever. And another thing is, like, we don't have a receipt for our taxes when we pay them. Like, we pay them every year, whatever, and the government is not beholden to tell us what they used it on, but we have to tell them everything we used our money on. Like, that's a sick, toxic relationship. I don't need to. I mean, I feel like these are just things that like are ascend political strife and struggles, and like this is just what's happening. And so another indicator of a sick world. People play less music. 1980, about 20% of people played the piano. Today, it's like less than 5 in America. It's insane, and it correlates to purposelessness. That's really hard to say. It's a lot of S's. But like, how many people do we know that are like have no idea of what their future holds? Like, I feel like most people I talk to just like don't even want to be here anymore, and like some sick, weird, twisted way, like they're not even excited to wake up in the morning and like go do shit. Like, come down by the river, come see a barge go, come watch the sunset, and look at the ladder on this thing. I'll just show you real quick. Okay, sorry about that, but like these towers have ladders on them, and like, when's the last time a kid climbed up to the top and like made out with their girlfriend up there? Like, we live in a seriously sick society. So back to my notes. Sorry about that. I did turn off the camera. This is my first one. And like, so you talk to people and they're like, oh, I just don't see the point of it all. I have no home ownership. I ask people, I'm like, well, aren't you excited? Like, what are your plans? And they're like, well, never planning to have a home. And I'm like, well, that's depressing. And I think what it is like, the Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks, he's kind of crazy. But, lately, I think he had like an ayahuasca thing or like some sort of crazy trip or whatever. But he was like talking about how bad it is to stare into the abyss. And when you look back into it, or you look down into it, it looks back at you, and it's taking from you every second you give it. You're giving it something. Even if you think you're just looking, no. You're giving it attention. You're giving it validity. You're giving it part of your soul. and you really can't be doing that. And weed and porn, like, I'm not a absolutist, but if you're doing that shit every day, you're staring into the abyss, one way or another. And if not, then like after that, you certainly are. And we were talking about the Sydney Sweeney stuff and like all this BS drama to take our minds off of like we're not getting a receipt for our taxes. And it's just pop culture is dead. It's anti-art. It's not creative. And it's just like there to, I don't know, it's there to like hurt us and make us make bad decisions with our lives. And it's there to keep us inside, right? Like art is like, meant to make you appreciate these fleeting moments, like the barge going by, like look at that beautiful thing and the beautiful sunset. And like, I don't have the settings perfect on this, but you get the point, you know? And so these are like live moments, and like these are really all that matters. The question, you're looking into the abyss for an answer. You're saying, what is the meaning of all this? Doesn't it just look like all darkness and death and everything ends? And it's like, well, yes, for sure. But the answer isn't there. The answer is in playing music. It is in looking at something that you're going to step away from. But in that moment, you felt a little bit of what the purpose of life was. You really did. And then it goes away, you know? And it doesn't need to be translated. That's the most beautiful thing about art, is that it does not need to be translated. We all hear the same thing in that piano piece. We all see the same thing in that beautiful, depiction of what is really just out here if you walk around enough. So, the next thing I wanted to do, talking about art, and I know this is gonna bore you guys, but humanity's dying. And we kind of have like realized, we've had the answers for a long time. Like this guy wrote this. He was alive between 1788 and 1860. Arthur Schopenhauer, Art and the Art of Music. Oh, let's. 1946. But anyway, this guy wrote, this dude's a geezer. Absolute goon geezer. God, there's so many bugs here. But that's fine. All right, Art and the Art of Music. I'm going to interject, so hopefully it's obvious when, let me refocus this. Hopefully it's obvious when it's my versus its opinion. Not merely philosophy, but also the fine arts work at bottom towards the solution of the problem of existence. For in every mind that once gives itself up to the purely objective contemplation of nature, a desire has been excited, however concealed and unconscious it may be, to comprehend the true nature of things, of life and existence. For this alone has interest for the intellect, such as, for example, for the pure subject of knowledge which has become free from the aims of the will. As for the subject which knows as a mere individual, the aims of the will alone have interest. Okay, so all that stuff doesn't really make a lot of sense, but this next part's really important. On this account, the result of the purely objective apprehension of things is an expression more of the nature of life and existence, more an answer to the question, what is life? Every genuine and successful work of art answers this question in its own way with perfect correctness. But all the arts speak only the naive and childish language of perception, not the abstract and serious language of reflection. Their answer is, therefore, a fleeting image, not a permanent and general knowledge. Thus, for perception, every work of art answers that question. Every painting, every statue, every poem, every scene upon the stage, music also answers it. And indeed, more profoundly than all the rest. For in its language, which is understood with absolute directness, but which is yet untranslatable into that of reason, the inner nature of all life and existence expresses itself. So that's why you got to stop listening to Sabrina Carpenter, Ooey Gooey, Espresso. Like, come on, dude. Like, if it needs to be translated, I hate to say it, but it's like, it's not the most direct form to answer the question you're looking into the abyss for. And that's kind of potent if you think about it. And however it makes you feel is perfectly correct. You're meant to feel that way. Even though the creator of it or the player of it I don't know how you're gonna feel when I play a piece. Like, I hope you feel something, and that something you feel is the answer to the question of life. Every work of art, accordingly, really aims at showing us life and things as they are in truth, but cannot be directly discerned by everyone through the mist of objective and subjective contingencies. Art takes away this mist. Boom. And the mist is the abyss. The mist is that thing that just clouds your judgment, and it doesn't give you the clarity when you look into the abyss, when you say, oh, what is all this? What does it matter? Boo hoo, boo hoo. You know, it creates a mist around you. The weed and the porn, it creates a mist that's distracting you from the real potency that is getting eaten up by 1,000 mosquitoes on a Tuesday. You know, and I could read this guy's stuff all day, but it's nothing new. Even though it was in like early 1800s, he said it. You know, we all feel the same way right now. We really do. Let's continue. Yeah, so bottom line, if you guys get one thing from this, it's you need to make and most importantly give art. Spiderweb again. Spun upon me. And that's the only way to fight the abyss. You know, if you were dark and lonely in a dark place and you heard some beautiful music, some beautiful violin, that's savior, you know? That means there's some beauty left there. Think about it. If you were dark and alone and scared, and you really thought nothing mattered, you thought you had nobody left, nobody there to save you. And you hear a harp. Okay, and then there's you know, that's all I'll talk about art for today. I know that stuff's really boring to a lot of people. But the next thing is we're talking about Nazis because frankly, Orange Bean Sir has some opinions on Nazis, and I think everyone has some opinions on them. And you know, Nazis are really is like a national socialist, and the anti-national socialist, if we just do the antonyms of these words, would be foreign capitalists. Now, I don't know what you think America is, but I'll tell you right now, it is a foreigner capitalist society. We're a capitalist society that puts foreigners above the interests and needs of all of its citizens. And it has been for like 30 years, if you haven't started to see that. And so I think everybody in their own countries and their own communities should be a nationalist, like care about their community, want what's best for their people. Um, you know, it's just the sphere. It's like the classic for tens of thousands of years, like the sphere of not influences, but you know, the spheres of like what are important. And it's like, you know, your own water and food, your family's water and food, and sometimes your family's, you know, for if you're not an ass, your family's water and food is going to be better than yours. But you know, then it's like the villages, and then it's like the tribes, and then it's like the nations, and then it's like the global economic forum should be shit that like literally like fuck them. What do I give a fuck about your global shit for, dude? I'm a person who lives on a river in a community, and that's what's fucking important. And every piece of media that like is really getting put out there today to be consumed is trying to draw us away from that. And the worst, it just goes to show the worst thing you could possibly be as a national socialist or not being a foreigner capitalist, literally just sucking all our resources from our beautiful nation that we built. And you know, I say we, and like I consider like heritage Americans to be, you know, the builders of this great country, which is like, you know, it's white people. I mean, look at the presidents, like it's black people, like, you know, look at, you know, all the great black influence and leaders and like the beautiful culture they have and stuff. And I'm not like, I'm not trying to be anti-racist. Like we all have our problems. Like I kind of live in Tweakerville. You know, white people got their problems, black people do. Like Americans, like we have our problems. You know, and like people who have like put in the put in to make this country great, like yeah, sure, they do deserve to live here and stuff. But like that is not like if we think that's what's been happening, you're wrong. You know, for like the last 30 years, like, and I mean, look at England and Canada, and it's like those people, you know, especially in England, like those are the indigenous people, the English, you know, like they don't have any home to go to, like they've been there 5,000 years. And it's like they've had their homes completely destroyed by their politicians who just, literally didn't care about their nation or their people. And they were just like, let's give it all away to foreigners. I'm not anti-foreigners, but I am pro-local communities. I am pro-preserving cultures. You know what I mean? So, hey, how's it going? Doing good? Just filming a video. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, I love, you know, people who love their local communities, whatever it is. And people who try to make their local communities better, they fucking rock. Like that dude fucking rocks. Um, so like I encourage all of you, like with all this like Nazi rhetoric that we've heard for so long, I encourage you to come up with your own definition of like what it means to you to care about and love your people. And then all the foreign capitalists out there, because whatever ideology you have is like pro you and your country, they're gonna call you in your community, they're gonna call you a Nazi. The worst thing they could possibly come up with. When like what you're saying or doing has nothing to do with like with like Hitler's Germany. Like it's just so ridiculous. Let's see how much time we have. 7 minutes. Wow, well that was not as long as I thought it would be. So pretty much like until like some of the pedophiles are arrested, like I really don't even care about politics anymore, because obviously our politicians and our, quote unquote law enforcement are okay with children having the worst thing happen to them over and over and over again, as opposed to like holding our politicians accountable. So like until there's arrest for all the people who are currently doing this shit, I have no interest in politics. But I do want to encourage everyone to stop staring into the abyss, come out here and look at this beautiful world, and you'll get chewed up by bugs, by people, by the elements, the rain. It's been raining and thundering. But it's worth it. It's worth not looking into the abyss. And this is how we fight back. Even just on like a human level, like let's forget our country, let's forget our nation for a second. Just even at a human level, 80% of Gen Zers say they'd be open to marrying an AI if it were legal. Okay, so it's like, it's a little more than just, your local community. Like there is a fight for human civilization. And if Orange Bean Sir didn't, inspire me by calling out this BS of this modern world, I don't think I'd be out here. So I really want to thank him. And, there's a bunch of other like real AF YouTubers out there that inspired me. And hopefully this inspires you to just set your shit down and go outside. And if it's the middle of the night, stare at the moon for 2 minutes. I don't know. Last time I did that, I ran into like a sick cat. I gave it some kibble. I'm like, we're friends. You'll never know what happens. But I'll tell you, nothing good happens when you stare at the void. Nothing good happens when you're gooning to your AI girlfriend. So have a great evening. The next 2 minutes, 30 seconds is going to be my outro. So, okay, so since I talked so much and so highly of playing live music for people, I'm self-taught. And, you're never going to play music perfectly. But you ought to share it when you can. And so, in that spirit, I guess I'll do a little outro. And it won't be perfect. And this is my second take, and I'm not doing any more.